Hey y'all, welcome back. It is episode 360 of the Late Night Vision Show. This is your one-stop shop for all things night vision and thermal related, whether it's scope reviews or just talking about night hunting. That is what Hans and I have been doing here for 360 episodes. Hans, welcome back to another hopefully great show this week.
360 episodes. Do the math on that. I mean, it's 52 episodes a year. So roughly, what are we looking at?
I'm gonna have to get
100,
a
2,
calculator. You don't want me
4, 6,
360 divided by
7
52.
years.
6.92 years. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
7 years.
52
7
times
years.
7. Oh, 364. That'll be 7 years straight. So, I'm not going to say
Yeah.
anything about our streak. We're going to leave it there and we'll see what happens in a few more
One
episodes. But
show every Thursday for almost 7 years. So yeah,
that's
this
right.
this May
It's a
May
lot.
is our anniversary. So
It is.
yeah, we are in that whole time. You know what? We've been selling scopes the whole time. Even before that, well before the show
Yeah,
came
well
on the
before the
air,
show. Yeah.
the Outdoor Legacy was selling scopes, night vision or thermal scopes. If you're interested, the uniqueness of this channel and of us doing these reviews is not only you there's a lot of other channels that are doing reviews on thermal optics. You watch the review and you said, okay, that's great, so how do I decide from here? The uniqueness of this is if you see this review, if you like the scope, or if you are wondering if this scope is right for you, if this is going to do everything you need it to do, what you can do is actually, if you're interested in purchasing a thermal or night vision and you want to purchase it from Outdoor Legacy, you can do so. You can call us and talk to us directly. So you can watch the review and you can call us. And Jason, so many people, I know they say it to you. They say, first of all, the first thing they say is, your voice on the phone sounds just like it does on the video. And then they said, I can't believe that you're actually calling back, or you actually talk to people. Yeah, that's what we do all day, every day. And you can do it right now. You can call us if it's between Monday and through Friday, 8 to 5 Central Time. But you can call us at 877-350-1818. You can find all the optics, outdoorlegacy.com. We work with all the major thermal manufacturers. The scope we're going to be talking about today, the AGM Adder V2 1280. Jason, we got a lot to talk about here. A lot of videos to show, specs, walk
We
around.
do.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into this because there's a lot to get into. Guys, 1280 ultra high resolution. I just don't think that Hans and I are probably ever going to quit saying that this is exciting, because it is. It's such a Hans hates the word, or the term game changer, but it's such
Oh,
an advancement in technology. Again, as Hans mentioned, we've been doing this a long time. This is our 12th year in business, exclusively selling night vision thermal optics. And here's the thing: these 1280s, up until I guess what 2, 3 years ago, we didn't have anything above 640.
no, no, yeah,
And then
for
the
a
the
long time.
first 1280, whether that was 2 or 3 years ago, was came out on the market at $18,000. That was about what I paid for my last pickup truck. Yes, I got a deal on it. It was pre-COVID and it was used, but it was crazy expensive. But it was this wild new technology, and here we
And the
come.
truck that you bought sight unseen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so
That's
it
true.
was,
It was a really good deal. It was a really good deal. I
yeah,
did. I did not see it until I'd already
yeah,
paid for it.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, that's another story. But with that, we've come now in this literal 2 to 3 year time period. The scope we're going to talk about today is got more going for it than that scope did, and it's retailing for $7,000,
Yeah.
$69.99. So, all right, this is the second scope that we've reviewed from AGM. They've released this year, January 2025 SHOT Show, the AGM Evolver, LRF 1280, and the AGM Adder V2 60 millimeter 1280 LRF. These scopes are essentially identical. I want to go ahead and get this out of the way up front because I've had these questions and I know there's going to be more of them. How does this compare to the AGM Evolver? Essentially, the optic is identical in image quality. They're both a 2.5 power base magnification. You should see no difference whatsoever other than a body style and a form factor. And one of these may be better for you than the other. Briefly getting into that, I would say that the Adder V2, and Hans is going to show it here in a little bit, it's in a 30 millimeter tube daytime scope design. If you're going to be mounting this on a bolt action style rifle, lever action, anything with a fixed non-collapsible stock, 100% we would recommend this scope today, the Adder V2 1280. If you're going to be mounting on an AR style rifle or something, a chassis gun, a collapsible stock rifle, it doesn't matter. I would say use whichever style you prefer, whichever looks best to you, whatever you want. But the one thing about this style, it is the most versatile because it will mount on any type of rifle. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into these specs right here, and Hans is going to be showing some footage that we filmed through the optic. So again, it is the AGM Adder V2 version 2. It's the 60-1280, 60 millimeter, with a laser rangefinder. It is a 1280 by 1024, 12 micron. It's 25 hertz refresh rate. We're going to come back to that when I get done here, and we'll discuss that a little bit. It is has an NETD rating of sub 18 millikelvins. It is specs are out of order here. A 2.5 power base magnification. That's your optical magnification. And it does have digital zoom going up in half power increments all the way to 28 power. Detection range, according to AGM, is 3,400 yards. That would be detecting something large, the size of a man or a cow or a horse or something really big out there. 3,400 yards. What really matters to most people is what is the identification range. Again, just like the Evolver 1280 from AGM, we're going to very, very conservatively say that you could identify something the size of a hog, a coyote, a small white-tailed deer in normal, good conditions at 700-800 yards. I think you're going to probably, with some experience with thermal, good conditions, ID further than that. I mean, probably a good bit further, but realistically, conservatively, 700-800 yards, no issue for this scope. It's got a field of view of 77 feet horizontally at 100 yards, which is extremely wide. It's got a huge 2560 by 2560 display screen. That's a 1.03 inch, literal size of that screen. It will have, and you've probably seen this on the videos, but it will have the sides rounded when you look through the scope. That is actually really nice looking through there. I do like that. Moving on, we've got multiple color palettes: black hot, white hot, red hot, fusion, red monochrome, and green monochrome. The green's been kind of popular with some people. People are liking that. It does have onboard audio and video recording. It has picture-in-picture. It does have recoil activated video. We highly advise against using that with any scope. If you want the video, press the record button. If you want to roll the dice, use recoil activated video. And I'm going to say that about any scope of any brand. We just don't trust them. It does have smartphone app, so Wi-Fi for that. Standby mode. Built-in laser rangefinder. That's going to be a 1,000-meter laser rangefinder. It's accurate within 1 meter, and it does have all of the ballistics and the calculations built into that. It has internal non-removable rechargeable batteries and a fully removable 18650 rechargeable battery. Internal batteries, you're going to get about 6 hours of runtime on those, and the removable rechargeable 18650, you're going to get about 3 hours of runtime on that. So 9 hours total. Again, throw in another good 18650, 3 hours, give or take, on each of those. So very good battery life. Does allow for external USB battery pack. You probably won't use that, but you can if you need to, and that's how you'll charge your internal batteries. Quick note, you will have to remove your 18650s to charge them in a separate charger that AGM does provide. They don't charge inside the scope. Dimensions, it's going to be 17.8 inches long, 3.7 by 3.2 inches wide. Here's one of my favorite parts right here, Hans, and this is the weight. This scope ready to put on your rifle with the external 18650 battery in the side, with the American Defense Manufacturing mount that it comes with on it. The way that Hans is going to be showing it weighs a little, like 34, almost 34 and a half ounces. That is 2 pounds, 2 ounces, and that is a full pound lighter than most of the competition. Even the 640 scopes of this style are really right now coming in around the 50 ounce mark, and this is 34 ounces. So if you're looking for this style of scope, definitely one of the lightest on the market. Got a negative 22 temperature rating, that's Fahrenheit. IPS 6.7, that's fully waterproof submersible, 3 foot for 30 minutes, and it's rated for up to and including a 375 H&H caliber. It is also a 5-year warranty. AGM has amazing customer service. Love dealing with AGM. Unlikely that you have a problem, but if you do, you got a great company with a fantastic, I'm going to say one of the best customer service teams out there with AGM. So you are good to go there. Hans, I think I mentioned the price, $69.99. Anything I left off before you do your walk around?
I can't think of it, but first thing I'm going to show is the 2560 by 2560 display screen that you mentioned. Very large, very big display screen. I say it quite a bit. Once you use one of these, it's hard to go back to a smaller display and a lower resolution display. Really nice. Fills the vast majority of the eye box in there when you're looking in there. It does come with a, oh, I'm throwing it around, rubber eye cup. It just screws on and off. So you can take it off. I took it off for the video. Looking around the scope, it's kind of funny to think about, Jason, that we're talking about this and the size is a positive. I don't know if we've had that happen too often. The laser rangefinder is actually built inside it's mounted inside the objective lens. So it does have an LRF. You just don't see it.
I should have mentioned that. You're right.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
it's inside that objective lens. So it's not hanging off the side, not hanging off the top. Just a very seamless, very good looking design, regular tube style scope. It is in the American Defense Manufacturing mount. As you know, that most all of the AGM scopes do come with an American Defense mount. Eyepiece diopter focus right here on the front by the eyepiece. You got your objective lens focus ring right here on the end, and then all of your control buttons here on the top with the where your menu button is on this top turret. That's also your magnification dial, so you can dial up your magnification there. It's got your normal buttons here on top for power button, your laser rangefinder button, as well as your magnification. There's some other magnification features in there on the top button you can use, but similar to the other adders, just a little bit, I would say a little bit bigger than a regular adder, just because it's that 1280. And
60 millimeter lens.
Yep, and then it's got the button layout, though, is the same. So that is the walk around, Jason. Let's get to some likes.
Yeah, so dislikes, I scratched something down that is, this is really for you. So I'm going to let you kind of mention. I know that you think the Black Hawk could be better on here. I personally think it looks great, but I'm a white hot guy, so what do I know? So
Yeah, exactly.
anything else really besides that one thing? I know you wish the Black Hawk was a little bit better.
No, I am. I'm a Black Hawk snob, really. But that's about it. I think it seems a little. It seems in the Evolver, I think we said the same thing, right? As far as it does seem a tad bit washed out. Now the detail on the animal or the target is very good, very crisp. With hogs, you can see a lot of detail. The coyotes, you can see a lot of detail on the actual target itself. In the background, it does seem a little bit washed out. White hot is definitely looks much better. I would say shows way more detail in the background and on the target. But black hot, I'd say that's really the only thing that I noticed there, which was similar again to the Evolver.
Yeah, I think some of the other color palettes look pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would necessarily use them because again, I'm just kind of a white hot, black hot kind of guy. But the green is kind of cool. I know the red
I was gonna
hot.
say when you
I'm
sent this thing to me, it was in green. I was like, "What? Who kidnapped the scope and put it in green?" Because I know Jason
pro-
didn't put it in green.
Probably an accident. No, I think that I've had some good feedback too on the red hot. Again, it's kind of not Hans and I's thing, but some people like
Mhm.
different things, and so I know that's been good. But you know, a few likes here, and there's a lot to like. I want to hit a couple things real quick that we have mentioned already. That's the weight. I just think that again, Hans and I don't get hung up on small things. We're kind of our motto in life and in thermal is don't sweat the small stuff. And I know for some people, you know, everybody's got just different personalities, and people get really hung up on the weights of things. Is like I can't. I mean, I've had people like, this is the scope that I want. It's got everything on it, and I won't buy it because the weight, or it's an inch longer than I want. I get it. Whatever. You're spending a lot of money. You need to get what you want. If you're looking for lightweight, this is as light as you're going to get in this style of scope. And I'm talking about, 30% less than the competition or 33% less. So I like that. I do like the American Defense mount. You're talking about a $250 mount. Our favorite mount, the only mount that we use and sell, is coming right here. Some of the competition, the competitors are putting in mounts, but they're, let's face it, OEM mounts, they're fine, but they're not American Defense. So really like that. I think another big thing for me is we've kind of glossed over so far is that this is a 2.5 power 1280. This is the first that we've seen of this is getting above these, 2 powers. We're just now, this is the very first, this and the AGM Evolver 1280 2.5 power. The competition is going to be at 2 power. We do have finally now some, a couple 1024s out there that are in the 2.5 and the 3, but for a full on 1280, and people go, why is that? I'm not going to get into the science of it because frankly, it would be above my pay grade as well. But the science, the math does not allow them to get the high base magnification with the high resolution optics. That's why this is a 60 millimeter lens. They have to get very big lenses and make the focal length longer and to get this higher magnification. So anyway, 2.5 power. I really like that. To me is an advantage for most hunters. I mean, the vast majority of people nowadays are going to want a 2.5 or a 3 power. So I really like that. Hans, I know there's a bunch of other stuff that we like. What are you thinking?
I think with the picture quality, a lot of people are wondering, the difference between 640 and 1280. And a lot of people, when you talk to them about, okay, what's the difference between 384 and 640? Is it double the picture image? Is it twice as good, or 640 to 1024, or now 640 to 1280? And I think about it in a lot of those cases. If you're talking about 384 to 640, or even 640 to 1024, it's hard for me to say honestly that the 640 is twice as good as a 384, or double the picture quality, or even 1024 is double the picture quality of a 640. I will say this, after using the Rattler, the AGM Rattler 640s for so long, and the brand new, the Adder V2s, the 640s, I do think that this 1280 is double the picture image, double the picture quality. And
I was
I know
waiting. I was holding my breath over here to see what you're going to say. I was like, I hope he's going to say it's double because
it is. Yeah, I would say it's twice as good. Now, it's all of this is subjective. That's why picking out an optic can be a challenge, especially when you're going off of a spec sheet, or if you're looking at several different reviews on YouTube, because you're going to get so many different answers and so many different. And it's not that people out there are being dishonest. I think there are some biases in some stuff that you see, but I think people are giving their opinion, and it's their opinion, just like this is our opinion, and it's subjective. And Jason, we talk about it all the time. There are guys out there that like a certain brand that, even though they have used it for so long, if they look at something else, their eye just isn't used to it, and they don't like what I like to call the texture of the image. Whether it's what I say and you and I say is, some of these scopes have a really hard image out of the box. Some of them are very soft image. So if you've been using a scope that's got a soft texture, if you see one with a hard image, you may not like that, and that may take some getting used to. But I would say with this, if you are used to the AGM texture image, and you've used the Rattler 640s or AGM 640s, this is, I would say, twice as good, twice the picture clarity, twice the picture quality, and you will see that upgrade. Now the question is it worth it? And I think you could say, yes, it's worth it. And in some cases, people may say, well, I only use it once a year. Well, let's be honest. If you're using a scope once a year, you probably don't need a 1280 resolution scope.
Right.
Sorry, Jason. I don't know if that killed sales.
Yeah,
of this
thanks.
scope.
Thanks,
yeah. This is. But what I would say is, we can get into who it's good for, but we're talking about the likes right now. So I would say, the picture quality is twice as good as a 640 of any of the AGM brand. I think that the fact that you're getting this in a tube style scope that you could use on any platform, AR style rifle, chassis rifle, and it doesn't weigh 55 ounces. That's fantastic. It does have a little bit larger objective lens, but it does mount and fit perfectly on any. I've mounted it on AR style rifles, on chassis rifles is what I use primarily, chassis rifles. But if it'll fit on a chassis bolt action, I know it'll fit on any type of regular bolt action rifles as well.
So I want to jump in here and interrupt you, because and this is funny because I'm the king of rabbit trails, and that was a pretty good rabbit trail.
I think you asked me a very basic, simple question, and I got off on that.
Yeah, you went from image quality to who it's good for. But because you did that, I want to chime in here, so we won't come back to this here in a minute. We're still on our likes, but you're talking about this 1280 versus 640 versus 384. One thing that I want to point out, I agree with all that you said. But we also have to understand that not all 384s or 640s or even 1280s are created equal.
Oh, exactly.
I can show you 100%. Some 384s that I would say a 640 is 100% double. I wouldn't normally say that. With what you said, I would normally say, 640 is not double as good. I can show you some from some major manufacturers that I would say, yeah, you get a 640, it's going to be double as good. So we have to realize there is a scale and a spectrum of 640s. The same thing of 384s. There's not that many 1280s now. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a little less defined. But that's my point, is that in what you were saying there. And I do. I think there are, and I wish I'd never said this, but I did say it one time about a scope. I told a story about how I picked it up, and it was, had a 640 and a 384. They're identical scopes, just, body style. I picked one up, and, for a few minutes, I thought it was a 640. I said that on the show. This is years ago, and that has haunted me because we've gotten so many phone calls from guys who said, I mean, I had guys tell me, I remember when you said it was as good as a 640. And I was like, that's not exactly what I said. I mean, it was that nothing to compare it to. And it was at the time probably the best 384 we'd ever seen. So anyway, I'm kind of on this rabbit trail too. But
it was. And things catch up pretty quick too, though.
They do. But what I want to say is this. There is a few scopes, not many, but there's a few scopes over the years that you could have handed to me and told me it was a 640. And I could have thought, okay, it's not a great 640, but it's a poor 640. And I might have believed it, okay? But with this, when you hand this to me and don't say a word, I know this ain't no 640. Like, this is legit. Like, you don't have to tell me, which again, you wouldn't normally have to tell somebody with experience if they've used a lot of scopes, a 384 versus 640. But this one, you pick it up, oh my goodness. And then you touch the digital zoom, golly, you know for sure you've got a 1280. So, all right, we've kind of had that discussion.
Yeah,
Hans, back on. I know you got more likes on your list over here.
I do. So obviously the laser rangefinder built into the lens is a big positive. I think that is, that's a trend. That's a great trend. That's a very positive trend. I like the fact that, one of the biggest complaints that people have with these LRF scopes is they say that the laser rangefinder looks goofy if it's hanging off the side or on the top. And you and I are probably just so used to seeing it that it doesn't even bother us anymore. But having it in the lens, I mean, it's a sleeker look, a more just a better looking optic, I would say, altogether. But the fact also that is something that's very popular is bullet calculation. A lot of people ask about that. A lot of people want it. There are a lot of long range shooters. Jason, there's guys that we talk to on a daily basis that buy these scopes not even to hunt. They just want to go shoot with it, and they want to have they go out to the range and they have nighttime range shooting competitions. I talk to them all the time. And so bullet calculation is, again, a very popular trend in the market. We've talked in the past about trends and, more scopes with laser rangefinders, more scopes with bullet calculation configurations. And that's just what people want. And that's what people ask for. It's funny because you get guys that say, I don't want a scope with video and audio recording, but I want it with bullet calculation. So like they don't care about the video and the audio recording, but they want bullet calculation. So you can see how important that's getting to be. But as always with the AGM scopes, the American Defense Manufacturing mount, that we really like that to be on there. It's all and people will, every time they call, hey, that does come with the American Defense mount, right? Yes, sir, absolutely, it does come with it. And so that's another thing. It's important, and we can get into that. Being able to take this scope on and off the rifle, swap it to different platforms, and make sure that you're holding zero. But I think, Jason,
there's one more thing I got over here. I think it's the large display. It's the 2560 by 2560.
I showed that at the beginning, but that's okay.
Did you? Okay.
You don't listen to
I
me.
think, I think that I'm not listening. No, that's another big thing. I think that's good to have.
Yeah.
Talking about your trend, by the way, real quick with the LRF in the lens. I've heard, AGM speak directly to this. There's been some questions of, why is this not in every single one of your laser rangefinders? And what their answer is that some of the things were already in, like the Evolver, as an example. That was already in production, or not in production, but the molds and everything were made before they perfected this technology. So the Adder, came later. Also, they said that right now they're not, they're still working on, don't know if they're able to put it in the smaller lenses, like 35 millimeters. Right now, they're only putting it in 50 millimeter and larger lens. They don't know if they can do that. So again, it's a brand new technology. And so sometimes it may take a while. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's not.
I want to say something.
Lenses, but
I want to say something real quick about the Evolver, and I think this is important. We did the Evolver review, and guys, when we do a review, and we test the scopes, we don't just have it for a few days and go out and video barns and cars. We take these things out.
Sure.
We get as good a quality video as we can, and when we think a scope is great, I don't know about you, Jason, but I get a little bit nervous sometimes when I think a scope is really, really good. I'm like, man, I hope that people think it's as good as my testing, as good as we thought it was. The Evolver, we did that review a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
the AGM
4 weeks ago.
Yeah, AGM Evolver is their other 1280 that Jason mentioned. We have sold several of those in between the time that review came out and to today.
Several, but yes.
Well,
a lot.
We've sold, we've sold a lot. And every one of those people that I've talked to absolutely love it. They say it's fantastic. We have not had one phone call from anybody that said, you know what, you oversold this scope. That means a lot to me. That means that we're, because it's easy in this business to oversell a scope. But people got it, liked it, and they thought our description of it was exactly what they were sold. So that's important to me. On the Evolver 1280 and now here with this Adder V2 1280, that we're trying not to overhype this stuff, but also at the same time, we want you to know how important this evolution of this 1280 stuff and these other features and LRF in the lens, how important this is to the market and how things are changing now. With Jason was talking about the prices and all that. But I just wanted to make that note about the Evolver because I do think that that's very important here.
Yeah. I want to say something that we totally forgot, and it's my fault. I briefly mentioned it in the specs and was going to come back to it at the end and forgot. So there's going to be people that missed this because they've clicked off before now. But that's the elephant in the room for the people who know this unit is a 25 hertz refresh rate, where we're used to seeing 50 and 60 hertz refresh units. I'm not going to go into a big long thing on this. We did on the Evolver, and I think it's unnecessary. Here's the point. You are going to hear from other people on other YouTube channels, on Facebook, on Instagram, on whatever. You're going to hear people who are going to discredit this scope and say it's a 25 hertz, so it's going to have lag when you move around. When you try to shoot a running coyote, it's not going to work like a 50 hertz or a 60 hertz. AGM's answer to that was some kind of something technology, engineering, electronics, above my pay grade. It works. Here's all I know. Hans and I are the type of guys, we say it. We're East Texas country boys, okay? What I want to know is where the rubber meets the road. How does it work? We had the Evolver, also at 25 hertz, for months. We had it all last fall, all last winter before it was announced. Had no clue what the specs were other than it was a 1280. Saw zero lag, saw zero issues. We did not find out until the week we were in SHOT Show that it was a 25 hertz. We didn't believe it. We thought it was a misprint. Same thing with this optic. We see no lag, no issues. I'm sorry. Anybody who says that there is lag with this, that there is, it's, you know, that causing them to miss animal, whatever, I'm sorry. I just don't believe it. And as Hans said, we've sold a bunch of Evolvers. I got an email from a guy yesterday we sold one to, asking a simple question about it, and just absolutely in love with it. And
yeah, we put some video in that last review too of scanning side to side with it, and
yes. I mean,
yeah,
we've driven down the road in the truck with we've done it. I'm just telling you guys, I really don't want to give this any more validity because it's just a non-issue to Hans and I. Again, we've been using these optics. Well, I mean, again, the Evolver we had, October, November, December, January, February, March. We're into 6 months with that scope that's identical to this. And we've had this one, since, before SHOT as well. So I'm just making the point that don't worry about that. Yeah. I know, you're smart to look at that and go, whoa, what is this? Very smart. I'm not going to tell you that this is the truth on any optic you see out there. I'm telling you on this optic and the Evolver, I wouldn't worry about it. So moving on from that.
Yeah, we're definitely not engineers or tech guys or anything like that.
All I know is what works in the field.
But we spend a lot of time in the woods. We spend a lot of time in the field. Years and years and years of testing thermals and scopes. And it gets pretty, I think it gets overblown by a lot of people that have no intention on buying the scope, to tell you the truth. I think that but
the
anyway,
way you could say
I would say though, if you're concerned about it, call us. And if you're that concerned about it, then AGM has some really good scopes out there that are 50 hertz, that are 640 that you might like. I don't know. I don't know what to say other than that.
So let's talk about who this scope is good for and kind of wrap this thing. So I think that with the 2.5 power and the 1280, it really opens up the capabilities of this scope. I think there's no issue if you're a close range hog hunter. Already, so we got a 77-foot horizontal field of view at 100 yards. That is vastly wider than most 2-power 640s. Okay, most 2-power 384. So this is one of the widest field of views you're going to find. So even if you're hunting close, I don't think there's any issue there. If you're hunting longer range, again, maybe it's a lot of those 100, 150, 200 yard or further shots. With the 2.5, I think you're going to squeak in there combined with this resolution. We tell guys a lot of times a 2.5 power on a 640, like, yeah, you can make it work, but we really think you do better with a 3. I think this is an example of the resolution is going to overcome that a little bit. Now, again, if you're taking all of your shots at 200 to 300 plus yards, you might be better off with a 4-power 640. All right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But I do think this 1280 is going to allow you to zoom up to three and a half, four, all the way to six, and lose very, very little image quality. So I would say, I don't want to say this is the one size fits all, but I do think the 1280 is more forgiving on that. And especially, again, since a lot of these other scopes have been in that, 1.75 or 2 power, getting up to that 2.5 is a full half a power more magnification.
So if you think that this scope, and you're wondering if this is the right scope for me, Jason, I would say this, and then I'm going to round it out and close it out.
Okay.
If you're a fan of AGM and you've used their scopes, you've been up in the brand for a long time, and you've graduated from 384 to 640, and you're wanting to go up even higher than that in resolution, I think this is a great scope. I think we've talked about the magnification level at 2.5 power. You said it right, Jason, with the wide field of view and the capability of using more higher end base magnification, going from 2.5 to 5, still keeping a lot of resolution. It does make this really good for shorter range shooting and longer range shooting. I say this on several scopes in the past, though. If you're wanting to build a lightweight setup, you're putting it on a small rifle to throw in your truck, and you want lightweight. This is still lightweight, but it's not a physically small scope. It's a long scope. Right. You might want to go with the Evolver or another AGM product, but this is something that I think you can do and use in a lot of different situations: long range, short range, any platform, any rifle. And if you are a fan of the AGM brand and you want to get into something, if you've got another brand and you're wanting to get in 1280 in this style of scope, this might be a good option for you. Now, really, the best way to know is to get as much information as you can. Look at information, look at spec sheets, but don't make your decision based on what numbers say on a piece of paper. You really have to, I think, talk to people that have used not just the AGM scopes. Jason, we've tested every AGM scope ever made, any pulsar scope ever made, any infrared, you name it, all the major brands, we've tested them all. But we've also tested, Jason, how many scopes have we tested from brands that aren't even on the market right now or haven't made it to market, or scopes from other brands that we don't sell? I mean, we test a lot of things. We have done so for 10 years now, more than 10 years. So I think it's important to, if you are truly interested in buying an optic, if you're like, what, I'm ready to make a decision, I'm ready to buy an optic. If you're going to make a decision and you're trying to decide on a scope that you're going to purchase in early 2026, I would say just take this, next several months and do some more research. But if you're truly ready to make a decision and you want to buy an optic and you're considering buying from Outdoor Legacy, give us a call, 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacy.com. We can tell you about this scope, how it compares to everything else on the market right now. And we'd love to help you with that. We'd love to help you make the decision. Because it is a lot of money. $7,000 is a lot of money. And we want to make sure that it's very important for us. And we tell people this all the time. We have a very vested interest in making sure that you make the right decision. And here's why. We don't want to oversell you a scope, meaning sell you more than you need, or undersell you, or give you the false impression that one scope is way better than what you had or way better than what you're looking at. Because at the end of the day, we depend on our customers being happy with that scope for several reasons. For customer satisfaction, financially, there's a lot of incentive for us to make sure that you get the right scope, whether you buy a $7,000 scope, Jason, or a $700 scope, because we sell hundreds and hundreds of $800 thermal scopes, and you can look at hundreds of them. And whether you're calling about an $800 scope or an $8,000 scope, we're going to help you regardless. We got to make sure you're happy with it at the end of the day, because we need you to not just keep that scope and be happy with it, but we need you to tell your friends and your family where to go to buy a scope. So 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacy.com. We don't expect your business, but we do want to earn it. So we'd appreciate you giving us a call.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, you can find Outdoor Legacy, the late night vision show, Hans, East Texas, Hans ETX. Find all of his stuff. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, just search us. You will find us there. We appreciate you tuning in to the Late Night Vision Show. It means a lot to us, and we would love to see you here again next Thursday, and hopefully every Thursday, like we've been doing for 360 weeks, and we can hope to continue that trend. So guys, we have got a few more reviews. We're still trying to collect footage from optics, and it has been a struggle because we have so many optics, but there's still some more on the list. But I promise you, if you're tired of the reviews, stick around, because spring is sprung and summer's coming, and we'll get most of these optics reviewed, and we'll start doing some topic shows. So hey, if there's a topic that you want to hear about, and leave a comment and say, hey, when y'all get some time, I'd love to hear y'all talk about XYZ, or ask some questions, and we can do question and answers from listeners. So again, all that will be coming in the coming weeks and months, so y'all stay tuned right here. Late Night Vision Show. Hope to see y'all again next week.